Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now August 5th of 2022, and as we get closer to shows out there like Star Wars Andor, The Bad Batch Season 2, as well as Tales of the Jedi, a lot of Star Wars fans are also getting very excited about The Mandalorian Season 3, and exactly what's about to happen with the Ahsoka Tano series for next year as well. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you also very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the Disney Star Wars universe is that there are a lot of projects currently in the works, including, of course, a handful of Star Wars TV shows that John and Dave are working on, over a dozen to be exact, as well as a lot of other projects that are in the early development stage by Disney, such as the new Star Wars films, and of course other plans that they do have for the Disney Plus streaming service. Now, be aware that we're going to be learning a lot more about all of this at D23 and Disney Plus Day. That's going to be a very big deal this fall, and leading into Star Wars Celebration of Europe next year, that's going to have a lot more announcements as well. So there's a lot of things coming by Bob Chapek, alright? He wants to make sure that he's going to create this consistent flow of announcements. He really wants to make it as, much of an impact that Marvel has on its fans when it comes to the amount of announcements. Now, the one thing I do have to say about that is they have to be very careful with not oversaturating Star Wars, alright? They have to really make sure that the projects that they will be announcing are going to be projects that fans are going to truly, actually love. So, moving forward from all of this, alright, one major thing that has actually been moving along very well right now is, of course, something big that Chapek has been planning for the past 2.5 years. So, with creators like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni gearing up for some major announcements this fall, George Lucas has been helping out with some new Star Wars TV shows by Favreau and Filoni. However, one major project that is still in development that is finally beginning to move forward is the 4th Star Wars trilogy that will serve as something of its own, separate from the Skywalker saga, that will take place in the unknown regions, with actors like Keanu Reeves, Jennifer Connelly, and Elizabeth Olsen, just to name a few, that have been selected for the new movies. Now, it's described that George Lucas has already been chosen to co-write these new Star Wars films, along with other writers that will be labeled as a mixture of Lord of the Rings and Star Wars as one new take on the Star Wars franchise. Now, Lucasfilm and Disney are set and ready to announce this new trilogy by Star Wars Celebration next year, and that Disney is only allowing experienced writers to take care of this major project. However, Chapek is currently undecided if he wants these films to arrive in theaters or on the Disney Plus platform instead, as Disney is already beginning to plan out the continuation of the Skywalker saga as well, to give the films one final shot within the saga, also with new episodic films. Lucas, attached as a co-writer for the 4th trilogy, is set to, however, focus on a primarily dark side-driven character, such as King Valar and Lady Empress, just to name a few character codenames, that have already been around, of course, for this project for the past 2 years or so. Now, let me just pause here for a second. Now, we talked about this last year and the year before about the 4th trilogy project. It's been on and off for multiple reasons. One of the biggest reasons, which we'll get into in just a second, has a lot to do with the current state of the theaters. How many people are still going to the movie theaters, and how many people are watching streaming? What's that ratio like? And that is something that Chapek is trying to figure out along with the Disney executives, and why they had a quite big delay in the development for the 4th trilogy. A good 7 to 8 months. They were kind of like keeping that in limbo, but now it's picking up again finally. More actors like Keanu and Elizabeth Olsen, as well as Jennifer Connelly, are becoming more free, and they want to announce this by next year at Celebration, which, by the way, really isn't all that far away. I mean, it's less than a year away, and we're getting closer each month that passes by. So, moving on from all of this, alright, this is where things begin to pick up, is because we already know that this new trilogy is going to be something of its own. It's going to be an original, actual era that we have never seen before, and they want to make sure that it's going to be something truly unique that never came from Legends, nor did it come from the existing canon. So, of course, as Disney is already beginning to plan out the continuation of all of that, Lucas, attached as a co-writer for the fourth trilogy, is set to focus on the Sith royal family. Now, the fourth trilogy is currently dubbed as Star Wars Legacy. The Legacy films are going to dive into the Sith royal family and the story of a group of Jedi trying to find these royal families to take them down from power on the world of Exegol and surrounding nearby worlds in the unknown regions. Now, this is described to be labeled as the Forbidden Era of Star Wars and is set to take place in between the Old Republic and the High Republic era of the franchise. Essentially, Lucasfilm's plan is to focus on a brand new film trilogy not based on anything, but rather to keep the George Lucas vision and its essence intact as well. So, that to me is very important, the fact that they are going to keep Lucas's vision and the essence of all of that intact. When you look at what Kathleen Kennedy did with the High Republic era, and if you guys like that, that's fine. I myself do not like it. It has nothing to do with George's vision, absolutely zero. So when you look at something like this Forbidden Era of the franchise, this new Star Wars trilogy simply labeled as the Star Wars Legacy films, alright, it's going to be treated as the fourth trilogy in a sense. It is going to be darker and grittier. It's going to be labeled as a mixture of Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. And it seems like that lately, Disney and Lucasfilm are taking a lot of other franchises and mixing it in with Star Wars, right? Look at what Kathleen Kennedy is doing with Skeleton Crew, where it's going to be a mixture of Stranger Things and this franchise. Except, I think that this is a better approach, because Lord of the Rings mixed with Star Wars could very well work. It actually has the opportunity to be something very successful. In fact, that's how I always viewed the Old Republic. It was always like a mixture of Lord of the Rings, to me at least, with Star Wars. That's just how I viewed them. Moving on. Now, Bob Chapek is the one who approached Lucas to join this massive project last year as a co-writer, and that Chapek is trying to even get Favreau and Filoni on board to potentially kickstart the very first film of Star Wars on Disney+. However, executives are trying to find ways that can make this work for the theaters. The only reason why this project and its development was on hold for a while was due to the uncertainty of the current state of audience members going to the theaters. Chapek feels that for the foreseeable future, streaming would be a better way to go for these movies. However, executives are pushing Chapek to stick with launching these films in theaters to make them hold the Star Wars tradition. And you know what? I agree with the executives. I feel that Star Wars belongs in the theaters. And there's something magical about going ahead and seeing a Star Wars film in a theater. Why? Because you're watching it with other people, you're getting people's reactions, it feels like a real event instead of just staying at home. Which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if people like to watch these movies at home, that's fine, but I love the era where, before 2020, where we had pretty much movies strictly always in theaters coming out. Now, you see a lot of movies coming out with the options, right? Either it's in theaters or on streaming, or there's another scenario where it's only on streaming. You know, that seems to be the common trend right now. Sure, there's a couple of exceptions where some movies coming out are just strictly for the theaters, and you're getting more and more of that, which is suggesting a turnaround finally, but Chapek is a little on edge about that turnaround being delayed. So overall, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.